What's up, everybody? This is Kelly. Okay, those of you guys that are watching this on the replay, what's up, replay people? I'm so glad you guys are here. We haven't been here for You, Me, and Jesus in quite a while, but I've got plenty to share with you guys today. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this real quick. That way, if anybody wants to watch this from my business page, my Kelly Facebook fan page, or whatever you may call it, they can have access to it. So let me share that over there to You, Me, and Jesus. And I'm going to share this to Kelly. And then we're going to get this conversation started, okay? I wonder if it'll let me do nope. Hold on, let me see something real quick. What's up, y'all? I'm always trying to see what Facebook allows me to do. And I usually only knows what it allows me to do when I go live. Okay, so I'm trying to share this to my Facebook story, but it's not letting me do that on my iPad. Okay, so there's that. All right. So welcome, everybody. This is You, Me, and Jesus. We haven't done this in quite some time, but because I have a new office, I got the space. Come on, Jesus. Thank you for it. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. If you guys think somebody would benefit from this conversation, please feel free to share it with them. I would appreciate it so much. If you're on the replay, thanks for watching. And if you're on YouTube, what's up, YouTube? Okay, so let's talk about You, Me, and Jesus first, and then we will get into today's conversation, which is thoughts of a Black Christian. Hey, Carla. What's up, guys? So, You, Me, and Jesus is now 3 years old. I started it November of 2017. I think it was 2017. And I did it out of my living room, every single week. I was on teaching. And then when I was in Houston, I was doing lots of interviews. I've been here in California now for 9 months. And it was quite the shift. Like, God shifted everything. My life, He shifted everything. And I've just basically been doing the podcast every single week. So if you haven't listened to the podcast, you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Pandora, Stitcher, all the things. You, Me, and Jesus. And so it was really challenging finding a quiet space because God had me get a house, but He had me let 4 girls move into the house with me. And so it was just way too hard it was just too much going on. But since He blessed me with office space last week, guess what? I'm in the office. And so we're going to work on the backdrop and all the things over the next couple of weeks, month, or whatever. And then we'll get back to our regular, whether we do You, Me, and Jesus. Also, I'm going to start interviewing some of my friends out here in Redding, from Bethel, the Stirring, all different places, interviewing amazing people. So y'all get excited about that. We are getting back to our interviews. So that's that with You, Me, and Jesus. If you're new to You, Me, and Jesus, just know God had me start this. He just wanted me to share my relationship with Him with people online. And so been doing that now for 3 years, and so now we're getting back to it. But the next couple Sundays you'll start seeing a rhythm and a theme and all the things. Okay, so there's a podcast episode that came out today called Unpack Your Pain. Okay, y'all can listen to that on all the places where podcasts are featured. But last night, today, I was going to talk about that live, but last night Bethel Church, which is where I go to church, had its Black History program, which was amazing, okay? And as I was driving to church this morning, I started having all these thoughts and all these feelings. And I said to myself, okay, I'm a very transparent person. I feel like that God likes to use me by my honesty, my vulnerability, my willingness to say hard things, do hard things, live hard life in a sense. And so I said, okay, what if I unpacked my thoughts, unpacked my feelings on camera of the Black History program? I'm not going to be picking apart the program by any means or telling you guys what happened at the program, but I'm talking to you guys about my experience of what happened to me. So here's what happened in my synopsis. So Tanasha and her amazing team with the Being Life group did this production called Mountaintop, where they highlighted and displayed the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But the way it was displayed was, yes, they talked about some of the struggle. Hey, Brandon, some of the struggle that happened all those years, right? They showed it in so many different artistic ways. But you also heard Dr. Martin, like, normally when we hear Dr. Martin Luther King, we're hearing about what happened back then, and like from a feeling, like he said the same things, but sometimes you're processing pain, you're over here. So I'm used to hearing Dr. Martin Luther King talk about one day we're not going to be segregated. One day we're going to be able to do. One day, one day, one day. But the way he was displayed last night, which was still him, but I'm not used to seeing him displayed this way. He was displayed, the preacher was displayed. The man who loves Jesus was displayed. And so as I heard his speech, him talking about what God can do, who God is, and all this stuff, I was having all types of experiences, right? Listening to him talk in the ways that he was talking. But what also ended up happening for me, and it's just me being honest and transparent, what also ended up happening for me was I had this moment where I said, there were a lot of people that came before me. A lot of people died, were beat down, all these things happened to them, and I'm not experiencing all of that. Don't get it twisted. We have some challenges, right? But nobody is lynching. Nobody is hosing me down. They're not throwing tear gas and hitting with all batons. They're not doing all this stuff that was happening, like just crazy was happening years ago. And I started having this like inner dialogue where I was like, that's not happening to me right now. And yes, we have some challenges in our country, in the world, but it's not like that. And I had this like inner moment where I was like, what am I doing? Right? Now, y'all know I love Jesus. So my goal is I'm trying to get people saved, healed, delivered, all the things, and teach them how to strategically build wealth in business, which is great. But I had this moment last night where I was like, but what else am I doing? What am I doing for all the people that died for me? Listen, Jesus died for me. That was the ultimate death, okay? Christians. But also all the black people that died, and even white people and people of other ethnicities that died so that we could be free, right? And I had this guilt. I know God didn't want me to feel guilty, but I did. I felt guilty. I was like, oh, technically, I'm not doing anything. I was like, technically, I get nervous having the black conversation sometimes online. Technically, I'm black, but I don't be wanting to talk about the struggle. And I was like, ooh, that's ugly. You know, just evaluating myself. I'm not saying this is you. I'm just talking about me. And so I started having this conversation with myself and probably with God too. And I was like, what should I be doing? You know, what is it that I could be doing to not just talk about the past, but what should I be doing that's bringing reconciliation, not just to the black race, but to all people? What am I doing to unify people? What am I doing to educate? What am I doing? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm not doing anything. Listen, I do a lot of stuff. I'm just not doing it on a daily basis, like an intentional thing every single day. Now, I don't have the solution. So I'm not going to come here and tell you this is my solution, because I don't have it. I just had this conversation driving to church today. But what I did do was I wrote down 5 things, right? That was just kind of on my heart. That's why I called this Thoughts of a Black Christian. And one of my things was, okay, so Jesus ultimately died, right? Jesus died for me. Jesus died for all of us. And so he paid the price so that we wouldn't have to pay that same price, so that we could all live together, love one another, all the things. And I said, okay, so ultimately Jesus died for it, right? Dr. Martin Luther King, he did, and some others did. I was like, but ultimately Jesus paid that price. I was like, okay, I've got that settled. And then I said, so what was the price other people paid? People like literal like me, and paid. I was like, they died, they they lived in poverty and all this type of stuff. I'm not living in poverty. I'm alive. I have a voice. I get to have the hard conversations with people. I get to have conversations with black people, white people, Asian, Puerto Rican, Indian, all about being black. I get to have those open conversations without fear of being lynched, without fear of what have you. Not all the time. I mean, like, if I go to certain parts of the country, I'm probably not going to have that conversation. But y'all know what I'm saying. I'm being funny, but y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. So I said, okay, they paid that price. But what I asked myself was, what is my role? Right? What is my role? And I know everybody has their own opinions, right? And we're all entitled to our own opinions, our own thoughts, our own feelings, all the things. But I know that I do it in business. I bring people together and all that. But I just kind of was like, what about in politics? What am I doing, or what could we be doing in politics? Now, this is not me saying, listen, hear me. This is not me saying that I'm against our current president, President Donald Trump. This is not me saying that. This is not me saying that I'm a Republican, or that I'm a Democrat, or that I'm a libertarian, whatever. I'm a Christian. I don't really identify with either of the parties. I just don't. But I said, so what does this look like? I'm like, I'm still unpacking this, but I'm just unpacking it live because we're talking about thoughts of a black Christian. I said, what does this look like? And I was like, maybe, I don't know if I'm called to the White House. I've had prophetic words that I'm going to be in the White House, but doesn't mean I'm going to be running for Congress or anything like that. I don't know. I said, well, maybe this looks like hosting probably that felt like it. Maybe it's about me hosting events, hosting roundtable discussions on politics. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to do this. I'm just talking. Maybe it's me allowing people of different races and genders and backgrounds with guidelines and all that to come together and have political conversations, right? Where there's a rule. You don't talk bad about the left. You don't talk bad about the right. You don't call them the right. You don't call them the left. You don't call people by boxes or whatever, where you just have conversation. And I said, well, maybe that's my role, of bringing people together to have conversation. Because one of my gifts is communication. I didn't know I had a gift of communication until I moved out here, and I said, I didn't realize that was a gift. And so I'm like, if I'm good at communicating, then I'm supposed to be teaching people more effective ways to communicate. So when I saw the production, I said, maybe I'm going to help people have healthier dialogue, right? Which could be in politics. Listen, I have conversations with people all the time around politics. Some people love President Trump. Some people hate him. But I'm on either side. I'm for Jesus. And so if he's in the White House and God said, that's my leader, listen, let's do this. We go in and pray for him. You know what I'm saying? Period. And I find myself in all types of awkward conversations with people like, that's not my president, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, I understand, but what's the root of your issue? What's really happening here? Why don't you like him, right? And then a person says, he is God's man. He is this, this, and this. He is awesome. Da, 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 da. I understand what you're saying, but why do you say that, right? And then helping both of them kind of have political dialogue without them cutting each other's heads off, right? I remember one time I was out to eat after church or something, and there was a white lady, older white lady, and this white lady's probably 60. Let's just say she was 60. And then the black girl was 33, 34, right? And the white woman said she was upset at Colin Kaepernick. I don't understand why he would kneel. He's disrespecting the flag. And the black girl started to go off about racial injustice and yada, yada, yada. And I just sat there and was thinking to myself, what is my role in this conversation? oh, my role is to help both of them understand each other's perspectives and make a decision on how they're going to behave and how they're going to communicate. So I asked the white lady, I said, well, tell me, how do you feel? Well, I just feel like he should be kneeling. It's the national anthem. He lives here. Okay. And I was like, do you understand why he's kneeling? And she said, no. I said, okay. So, and I'm like, I don't know this is the true motive of his heart. This is what I know from TV or whatever. And I just said, well, the reason why he said that he's doing it is because he is frustrated with black people dying and all this stuff happening, and it's just being swept under the rug, and it's not, we're not being considered as real humans. And so he decided to use his influence and television and all that to bring attention to him, which would then bring awareness to a particular issue. And she said, is that why he's doing it? And I said, yeah. So the black girl is like, how do you not know that that's what he's doing? She's going off. And I said, okay, hold on. So you agree that he should be da-da-da-da? She said, yes. I said, do you think that he is disrespecting the flag? No. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I said, okay. I said, let's unpack this. I said, okay, United States of America, that's our song, that's our flag, it's something that we do to show respect. It's just what our country always does. I was like, okay, from a literal standpoint, if someone chooses that I'm not going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance or national anthem or whatever, it is a sign of disrespect, right? And the girl was like, I said, no, don't look at your feelings. Let's just look at the facts. And she said, yeah, I can see that. I said, okay, so there's that particular fact, right? And she said, okay. I said, all right. So do you understand why she is upset that he's kneeling and he's in a country where he's free or whatever? Yes, I understand. I said, okay. And I went to the white lady. I said, okay, so he's doing this to bring awareness for a racial injustice. And yes, he may be disrespecting the flag according to what you think, but as a result of doing that, he's brought awareness and all this stuff. Do you understand why he would do that? And she said, yeah. And, and I'm like, it's just kind of like what happened with Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks said, forget this. I'm sitting down. I'm tired, right? She didn't hurt anybody. She just decided I'm sitting where I'm sitting, right? And then it brought light. It's just this whole upheaval started to happen. And so in that dialogue, I started talking to, just trying to help them understand one another. The white lady was like, I don't understand how she doesn't know is disrespectful, how she didn't know. And the black girl was like, I don't understand how she didn't know that the issue was this. And I said, okay, what TV show do you normally watch? And they both started talking about what they watch on TV. And I'm like, y'all watch two totally different TV shows. If you watch the news, what station would you watch? They watch two totally different news stations, right? You got, let's say Fox and CNN, right? I don't agree with either of them. So I'm just like, Jesus help us all, okay? Fox will tell what they tell, and CNN will tell it how they tell it. Both of them could be lying, right? But if she hears this end, and she hears this end, and they never hear the other ends, then they have no idea. And she was like, but isn't she on social media? And I'm like, you only see on social media according to what you follow. Like, I don't see anything on my news feed that I don't want to see unless it's an ad that's running, right? Like, I choose my friends wisely. I friend everybody, but I unfollow most people because I don't always want to see what they posting. So if she's following what she wants to see and you're following what you want to see, then that means y'all aren't crossing paths. So you have to invite people into the world that you live in before they can understand you. And so both of them, we ended the conversation. They were like, it went from a 10 to a 0. And I said to myself, okay, I could see how I could be used in a role like that of bringing people together, having healthy political conversations, right? But I also wrote down here like racial reconciliation or just unity from a general standpoint. Now, do I know what that looks like? Absolutely not. I have no idea. I just know that black people like me, white people, Indian, Puerto Rican, all the things. I know that I can go from 3-6 Mafia. Listen, I don't listen to that stuff no more. But if it comes on, nuck if you buck, okay? I'm just saying. I know the old stuff. I don't know the new stuff, right? Like when J-Lo was dancing at the Super Bowl, listen, I knew all the words. Listen, when Shakira was singing at the Super Bowl, I knew all the words because that's part of my past. Oh, da, 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 and my hips stomp. Yeah, I knew all the words. So I can roll with my 3-6 Mafia crowd. I can roll with my Get Right crowd, which is J-Lo. I could roll with my country crowd a little bit because I lived in Kentucky for so long, right? And I said, okay, so maybe part of my role is bringing people together. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be messy, right? That doesn't mean it's not going to be messy. I'm a hot mess many days. So bringing all these other people together is going to be a hot mess express. But I'm reminding myself that that's why I'm here. Like I'm here because I am free. Listen, yes, we still have some issues as black people, period. I'm going to keep saying that in case some of y'all black people are like, what's wrong with you, girl? I understand the struggle, right? But my thing is like, okay, the struggle is real. But there's also freedom and liberty to a degree. And I said, I can choose to focus on the struggle, or I can say, Jesus, how do you want to use me in this environment? Listen, this is literally what I'm having a conversation with God with right now on this live and just in the real life. Jesus, what is my role? Like the city I live in now, Houston had 7 million people, all the cultures. Redding, California has about 100,000 people, maybe 5 black people. I'm exaggerating. I would say out of 100,000 people, maybe, let me look it up. I don't want to exaggerate. Let me see. What's the word for it? Is it demographics? Let me see. Demographics, Redding, California. Okay, let's see the demographics. And it's more cute than anything, so don't feel like I'm being racist. I'm just giving y'all the demographics. I'm going to do 2019. Here we go. So this is the demographics of where I currently live, all right? Here we go. Oh, so the population is 91,772 people. This is so cute. Oh, this is so sad. It's so sad. Okay, the demographics. 85.3% white, 4% Asian, 4.1% 2 or more races, 2.18% Native American, other race is 2.0%, and then black or African American is 1.49%. So let's see what that actually is. I'm gonna do a calculation. Where's my calculator? I know. Here we go. Found it. Okay. 91,772, 1%. Why'd I do that? That ain't the percent sign. Hold on. Sorry. Sorry. 72 times 0.1. What? Wait a minute. Y'all know how to use this thing? 91772 times 0.1. Okay, here we go. Got it. So 9,000 people. I said 5, but so out of 100,000 people, about, that don't make sense. Oh, I did 10%. Jesus, fix it. 91772 times 0.01. There we go. There's the number. So out of 91,000 people, there's about 918 black people in Redding, which is so, it's cute more than anything because I'm just not offendable in a sense. So with that being said, I'm going, okay, there's about 900 of us in a city of 90,000 everybody else. Jesus, what is my role here? Thanks, Carla. It took me a minute, but I figured it out. It's like, Jesus, what is my role here? And one of the things that he has been sharing with me is to shape culture, but to also for reconciliation. And I'm like, okay, so what does that look like? And I don't know the answer to that yet. But here's been my experiences so far. It's so funny. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm always cute. I try to be. I'm trying to get found, okay? Every time I walk into the grocery store, it's like a whole like event. I feel like y'all ever seen that movie? No, not the Mac. What's that movie called? I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Remember when that dude was walking down the street? He was a pimp, and he had like a band behind him that was playing. I always feel like I got a band behind me playing, because when I walk in, it's like, it's like, who is that? And then all the little kids are always like, "Mommy, mommy," but not in a negative way. I don't feel like it's like, you know how sometimes you feel like the stares because they don't want you there. You don't belong. I don't feel like it's like that. I feel like every time I walk into an environment, it's like, wow. It's like, there's one. There, look, she's pretty. Like, wow. And some people would be offended by that. But I'm reminded that this town has had 90,000 people. 90,000 people were white, and less than 1,000 are black. So they're not used to seeing us. And I also said, so if they're not used to seeing us in their town, then they only know us from what they've seen on television, based on the TV that they are watching. Does that make sense? So if they're watching a television show that says we're successful, we're amazing, we're progressive, then that's how they see us. But if they've only seen TV that said we are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then that's what they're expecting from us. And so I have found myself with people looking at me like, but she doesn't talk like that. She doesn't act like that. She doesn't all the things. And I find them that they're just surprised, even mesmerized with like, oh, this is, and many of them don't ask anything, but some of them really do. It was so cute. One day I was in the grocery store, and this lady pulls her cart up to me and goes, "I'm so sorry." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "My son saw you from across the grocery store, and he had to meet you." And I was like, I knew. One, because I was black, and I looked around, it was like I didn't see no black people in sight, which is fine. Number two, I'm sure the hair got him, right? Little boy in his little cart. And I went over to him and I was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And he was just looking at me and got so shy. His name was Jack. And I was like, "Jack, hey," and I'm just talking to him, and he's like, "Oh God." But for me, it was yes, I wanted to entertain him, but it was also, I wanted to tell his parents, "Oh, I'm safe. You can trust me, even though we just met in the grocery store in the chicken aisle. This is cool. Like, we can, whatever." And if she had wanted to talk to me more, I would have talked to her more, but she didn't. Another lady, when I first moved here, like the first weekend I was here, I went to the grocery store and I was walking, and this old lady, she has her head down, she's walking, and she looks up and says, "You look just like that lady on TV." And I knew she was talking about Oprah. I knew it. And I said, "Amen, girl." And another lady turned around and said, "You do look like her. I know you want her money, don't you?" I said, "You're darn right. I will take her money." I could have easily been like, "Leave me alone," or whatever. But I was like, for what? They told me I look like Oprah, that I should have her money. I felt like that was a declaration. Power to the people. You know what I'm saying? But I'm one of those people where I've just said, this could be awkward all the time. But if I don't educate, if I don't spend the time with people, then nothing changes. Like I think about what happened last night at Bethel with the Black History program. They could have easily said, "You can do this, but you can't talk about things that are going to make everybody feel uncomfortable." They could have said that, but no, they didn't. And last night they talked about things that could have made them feel uncomfortable, but they also did it in a way that was like, but God, but Jesus is, and we are about reconciliation, and this is what God has done since Dr. King days. Here is what we're doing, as whatever. Then after the production was over with, they did a Q&A panel where they had some of the cast up on the stage, some of the pastors, the leadership team, and people in the audience were asking questions, like really, really thought-provoking questions. And I thought it was amazing for that to happen. Because I feel like if people can't ask questions and they can't get answers, and some people say, well, those are dumb questions. Oh, it's only dumb to you, but they have a real question. Let them ask it and answer it. You know, there was this Facebook post I saw a couple years ago. Funniest thing I've ever seen. I wish I could find that post. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was a black Facebook page that, I don't know what the point of the page was, but it was a black page. And they made a post that said, okay, for the next 24 hours, white people, you can ask us any question you want. Any question that you have, you can ask us whatever you want to know. And they said, just be nice. And then they instructed the black people to handle everybody with grace. They were like, don't be mad at them. Don't challenge them with their question. And so white people were courageous enough to ask questions. Most of the feed was hilarious. One guy was like, where's my bike? Because you know they always say like black kids be stealing bikes. And everybody laughed. I mean, it was like thousands of laughs and likes on the dude's comment. Another person was like, how come y'all only drink red Kool-Aid? Like, what about the rest of them? And all the black people were just laughing. Somebody else said, why y'all always talk with y'all hands? Why your hands always moving? Someone else was like, why y'all always clapping your hands when y'all talk? Y'all make us so scared. And we do that. And so people were just trying to chime in and just talking, and they're having these funny dialogue conversations. But then people were asking some serious questions, and they were allowed to ask them. And everybody was instructed to not say anything negative. Or if somebody did, more people will come for that person and say, hey, this feed is not about that. This feed is about answering their question. And I feel like if more people would allow the dialogue, I'm not saying the world would be a utopia. No, I'm not saying that. But I do think that if we allowed ourselves to be a part of reconciliation, be a part of the conversation, our conversations, it would be great. You know, this is a TMI, but I'm going to share this anyway. So I moved out here. God asked me to move in 4 girls to live in my house. 4 girls that go to supernatural ministry school. And none of them are black. I don't know how many black people they've ever been around, but whatever. One of the first weeks we got there, one of the girls is from the Philippines. And she asked, I can't remember what the question was, but it was a black question. And I was like, and everybody was like nervous. And I said, well, and I just started helping her understand with the question she was asking, and that also helping her to understand that every black person isn't the same, which means that we don't all have the same opinion. And I was like, here's my opinion, but if you ask 10 others, they may have 10 totally different opinions. And she was like, oh, now you would think that that's like, duh, everybody doesn't think the same, but you know, we all think that about different cultures and races and ethnicities because we box people in. Well, one day she sent me a message, and she was concerned because in the back, like, you know how we all, our head sheds, like all of our hair sheds, right? And so for non-African American people with straight hair, they shed, you know, straight hair on the floor or wherever. She was concerned because she kept seeing like little balls of hair on the floor. And she was asking me to clean it up because she thought I was trimming my ends. Then she thought it was from down there, you know, and I was just like, we laughed about it. And I just was explaining to her that her hair falls out straight on the ground. Like, you know, we shed 100 strands of hair per day. And I was like, so your strands are straight. You can't really see them because you just see them all the time. You just walk over them. My strands are curly. And so you will see mine because they're like a little ball or whatever. So it's not like, you know, yours is flat. But I could have gotten offended by having to tell her that. I could have gotten offended by her thinking that my hair was from somewhere else, you know. But instead, I took that as a lesson to teach of this is this and this is that, right? And she's like, oh, I didn't know. And some people will say she should know. No, she shouldn't. If she's always had this type of hair her whole life, she wouldn't know about my hair. You know what I mean? So, what is the point of today's conversation? The point is, I don't really have a point. I just felt like I'm at this place as a result of watching Bethel's Mountaintop Black History production last night, which was, I mean, it was just amazing. They're raising money right now to have it at the theater so that the whole city can get an opportunity for reconciliation, you know, for like the whole experience. Like as a result of just being there last night, I just became reflective, and I'm just like, you know, I need to really ask myself, what is it that I'm doing? What am I doing to contribute? How am I contributing to this city, the culture, shaping culture, being a part of the shift, and then just offering my gifts to the city? And honestly, at this very moment, I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do something. And y'all know that I'm just very transparent, and so I'm just like, well, maybe I'll open up and have like an event here in my office. It's such a nice office, and have food, whatever, and we just have dialogue. I invite in one person from every race or something like that, and we just have dialogue. And this month it could be about politics. This month it could be about healthcare or whatever, and we just have dialogue. It could be that. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. But my challenge to you guys that are watching me is I want you to ask yourself, how can you be a part of the solution? How can you stop arguing? Whoa. How can you stop arguing with people on Facebook and Twitter and at your office about politics and race? And how can you stop doing that and actually be a part of the solution of reconciliation? You know what I'm saying? This is not me saying that, what's her name? So you got president, you got vice president. I'm just seeing the whole State of the Union group. So it's like president's here, somebody's right here, and I think if Nancy Pelosi is right there, and the whole thing would ripping up the speech or something like that. Like, how can you be a part of the solution of unifying people even when you disagree politically, right? How can you still have unity and reconciliation in your community even if y'all don't agree? You know what I mean? Like, I'm pro-life, right? But I don't hate people that are pro-choice. I don't hate people that have had abortions or support abortions. I'm just pro-life. And if you ask me what my opinion is, I'm pro-life, right? I believe in the Bible, the sins in the Bible, but that doesn't mean that I can't have friends or love people that are doing things that are considered sin, right? Why? Because, like, I got my own issues. You know what I'm saying? Listen. Anybody that is doing anything that the Bible disagrees with already know. So that means they already know that I don't agree with their sin. I don't need to go and say it. They already know it. So that's between them and Jesus. Now, if Jesus invites me to say something to them, then I will. Most time, he does not. Okay? Most time, I just pray. And he don't be telling me to say nothing. Because he's like, I got them. You know? But sometimes he will. Right? But I have invited myself to be a part of the solution. To love everybody. Listen. Loving and agreeing with everything is different. Hear me. How do I say this? Some of you guys don't like our president. You don't identify with his political views. You don't identify with his Twitter account. Whatever. You don't believe his policies or whatever. That's okay. If you're a Christian, you still can love him. You can love a person and disagree with 99% of the things that they believe. Love is love. Agreement is agreement. Y'all see what I'm saying? So you can disagree with me and still say, I love you, Kenya. Saying you love me does not mean you agree with everything that I say and or do. It just means you love me, right? That you choose our relationship over being right. You choose our relationship over all things. Does that make sense? Carlos said, how can you be part of the solution of reconciliation or have a different perspective So, okay, here's the thing, Carla. In order to reconcile with people, people have to want to reconcile, right? So if you're engaging with a person that doesn't want to reconcile, you can't force them. right? If the Lord assigns them to you, you will know. And if he wants you to just love on them, and it's going to cause change, then he will make it very clear. Listen, he will make that thing very clear to you, okay? Otherwise, you can't force reconciliation. You know, if somebody is calling me the N-word, or I'm calling somebody a Nazi or a skinhead, then you can't quite reconcile with that because they don't want to, right? But you don't know who is open to unity and reconciliation without the conversation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've had conversations with people who want to have the conversation, and I'm like, I may start in on it, and when I realize that this ain't going with unity, I just, I really don't want to go there with you. You are amazing. You are my boo, and we can talk about everything else. I just don't want to talk about that with you. Is that okay? And I choose this, our relationship over here, and we just leave that alone. You know, y'all see what I'm saying? That's like God has got me on this journey of plant-based eating. And I went out to hang out with some people on Friday night, hanging out, and I'm slowly getting there with plant-based, okay? I'm not all the way there. And they made these burgers, this bacon, I mean, all this stuff. And I ate it, you know. But as we sat by the fire, I was like, yeah, you know, I start this detox next Friday. I'm going to be going plant-based to heal my body. I got some stuff going on in my body or whatever. And they were like, well, all meat's not bad. All meat does all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying all meat is bad. And they just keep going with the whole meat thing. And I'm like, okay, they're going there because of some other conversations that they've had, something they've heard people say and do. And so I just stopped kind of having the conversation with the one person who wasn't trying to hear me. And as I talked to the person next to me, I said, actually, when I eat this type of meat, this is what happens to me. And when I eat this is what happens to me. But when I'm not eating meat, I'm feeling great. And she said, oh, so I'm trying to have this dialogue, trying to be connected, but I can't connect with this person on that topic because they're not budging. So I just stopped talking about that with that person, and we talk about other things, but we stay connected. Her and I can still talk about that topic. Now, this same person, I couldn't have the conversation about J-Lo and Shakira at the Super Bowl, right? She felt like they shouldn't have been doing that, whatever, all the things. And I was like, I get it. I hear you. But I was so hyped. I knew all the words to J-Lo and Shakira's song. I was jamming. Do you hear what I'm saying? And she was like, it wasn't family friendly, da-da-da-da, yada, yada, yada. And I said, yup, I agree. It was not family friendly. I agree. Yup. But I was like, I'm not going to go there. Like, I'd rather not argue with her about something she feels passionate about. I can just exit that part of the conversation, talk with somebody else about something else, and let her be there with that and me be there with that. Because we're not going to, like, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it says, a person pressed against their will is of the same opinion still. Meaning that if I'm trying to press her to think how I think and vice versa, it ain't working. Because she got her opinion, I got mine, we ain't budging. You know what I'm saying? So I just said, I just exited and let her keep talking to the other person. And I was, talking to somebody else about, other stuff, right? But we still have a connection. We just don't agree on that particular topic. Does that make sense, you guys? And so my point is that if we're going to be part of the solution, then we have to be part of the solution. I think about Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm like, this dude did the most peaceful protest ever, but was invited into so many backdoor meetings, right? And granted, I'm sure some of them wanted to hurt him, but so many of them invited him into backdoor spaces, private meetings, because they felt like they could have a conversation with him. They felt like they could reason with him. They felt like they could understand whatever, right? And they were able to have those dialogues, right? And so I'm not saying all of us are called to be just like Dr. Martin Luther King was, but I feel like that's how I'm called. Like, I'd rather be in the private meeting going, hey, so I understand, just having the conversation. I don't mind doing the public ones if that's what God wants. But just for me personally in this environment, I'm like, okay, what does my role look like? Right now, he hasn't given it to me, and I'm okay with that. But I want to invite you guys to ask the Lord, you know, if you're black and you're Christian, or if you're white, non-white, whatever race you are, Christian, and you're asking yourself, what is my role in reconciliation, unity? What's my role? Ask them. You know, ask what are you supposed to be doing to bring people together? Your thing may not be racial reconciliation. You may be called to the White House. You know what I'm saying? What's your role? What should you be doing to further the kingdom agenda? I just know that one of the agendas of the kingdom is reconciliation. And so, I mean, he's been helping me do so much reconciliation in general with people in my personal life first. And now I'm watching him say, okay, now we're going to go out and do this and do that. And so this is just me vocally processing on live stream that I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. But that Bethel production provoked me. And now I'm just like, okay, Jesus, I'm open. So this is me on You, Me, and Jesus. You guys are going to be hearing more from me now that I have my office. Praise God. We're going to decorate soon. It's going to be awesome. Oh, sorry. I hadn't felt the walls yet. It's going to be awesome. And that's it. So I love you guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. This is Thoughts of a Black Christian. Hope you share this with somebody. Let someone hear this, and that you allow yourself to go through hard conversations, because when you do, that brings connection, reconciliation, and unity. All right. So love you guys. Bye.